We spend hours each day thinking about things that happened in the past, worrying about the future, or simply getting caught up in unconscious streams of thought. But if the mind can constantly generate thoughts we never asked for, are we truly the ones controlling what we're going through or our experiences? In daily life, we wake up, go to work, think, feel, and act. Everything seems to unfold naturally, but behind it all, is it really our control, or is there some invisible force guiding us through our thoughts, emotions, and decisions? In today's video, we'll explore one of the greatest realizations you can have in life, a realization that could completely change the way you view yourself, your mind, and control. This isn't just a philosophical question, it's a deep truth about our nature that very few people truly recognize. Join us as we delve into this and get ready for some major shifts in your life. You wake up, go about your day, think your thoughts, feel your emotions, and everything seems completely normal. You might feel like you are in full control of your life, deciding what to do, how to feel, what to think. But here's the profound question. Who is actually experiencing all of this? If your mind is constantly generating thoughts, worries, judgments, and impulses, who is the one listening? Who is the observer? Most people go their entire lives without ever questioning this. They just assume that the voice in their head is them. The I that speaks, worries, and makes decisions is the same I that is supposed to be in control. But is it really that simple? The moment you begin to investigate, something strange happens. You realize that much of your experience happens without your conscious consent. Your thoughts just arise, often without any clear direction or intention on your part. This is where things start to get interesting. Most people believe they are in control of their mind. After all, it's my mind, right? But if that were true, why does the mind often feel like it is controlling us? Have you ever noticed that you don't consciously choose your thoughts? They just show up. Some are familiar, some are random, and some are completely unwanted. You don't sit down and say, I'll think about this next. No, it just happens automatically. Sometimes, it feels like your mind is your worst enemy. You want to focus on something important, but a stray thought distracts you. You want to be happy, but doubts and fears suddenly flood in. You want to sleep, but your brain won't quiet down, endlessly cycling through thoughts and worries. If you were truly in control of your mind, wouldn't you be able to stop this? Why can't you simply choose to be calm, peaceful, and happy at all times? The deeper question that arises here is, why does the mind seem to act on its own? Why is it that, even when we desire peace and control, we find ourselves at the mercy of this chaotic mental chatter? The reason is simple, but profound. The you that you think you are, the person behind the thoughts, the person who is supposed to be in control, might not actually be who you think it is. What if the true you is not the constant stream of thoughts and judgments, but the awareness that is observing them? What if you are not the thinker of those thoughts, but the one who is aware of them? This is the greatest realization you can ever make in your life. You are not your thoughts. This realization is liberating because it helps you break free from the illusion of control. It allows you to step back and observe the mind without becoming tangled in it. The mind is a tool, not the master. When you begin to realize this, you can start to reclaim your true power. Not by controlling your thoughts directly, but by recognizing your deeper true self as the observer. So the next time you're caught up in a whirlwind of thoughts, instead of trying to fight them, try stepping back and becoming aware of the fact that you are the one observing them. This shift in perspective will change the way you experience life, because once you understand that you are not your thoughts, you'll find the peace, clarity, and calm you've been seeking all along. Most people live trapped inside their thoughts, believing them to be real. We experience life through a constant stream of thoughts that we assume are accurate reflections of reality. But here's the truth. Thoughts are not reality. They are simply stories, narratives created by our mind that shape how we feel, how we react, and how we perceive ourselves. Yet we often treat these thoughts as absolute truth, as if they are fact. Let's pause for a moment and test this. Imagine you're sitting in a quiet room. Nothing is happening. Everything is still and you're at peace. Then, out of nowhere, a thought pops up. What if I mess up? Nothing in the present moment has changed, but instantly you feel a surge of stress. Your heartbeat quickens, your body tenses, and your mind starts spiraling. Did that thought predict the future? Did it change your current reality? Did it deserve the intense reaction it triggered in you? No, it didn't. And yet, that thought controlled you because you believed it. This is the power of thoughts. They can make us feel something, even if that something isn't actually happening in the present moment. The truth is, most of the suffering we experience isn't because of what's actually happening around us, but because of the stories our minds create about what's happening. For example, if a stranger looks at you in a certain way, your mind might quickly jump to conclusions. They think I'm weird. I must have said something wrong. People don't like me. But is any of that actually true? In reality, you have no idea what that person is thinking. Yet, you've allowed your mind to create a narrative that dictates how you feel. What if you could step back and recognize that these thoughts are just passing clouds, temporary, fleeting, and without inherent power unless you choose to listen to them? The more you realize that, the more control you regain over your life. You begin to see thoughts for what they truly are, just stories. And in that awareness, you reclaim your peace. Maybe they were just lost in thought. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe they didn't even notice you. Yet, because you believed the story your mind created, you felt bad. The mind is like an overprotective friend, constantly trying to prepare you for worst-case scenarios. But in doing so, it often creates problems that don't even exist. And the more we buy into these stories, the more trapped we become in our own minds. So, what's the way out? It starts with realizing that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. As you listen to this, there's a voice in your head commenting on everything. That voice is not you. You are the one listening to it. And once you recognize this, you gain something most people don't have. Choice. The choice to ignore the thoughts that bring you down. The choice to let go of the narratives that don't serve you. The choice to stop living inside the mind and start living in the present. Because life is not happening in your thoughts. Life is happening right now. You see, the illusion doesn't break just because you notice it once. It keeps pulling you back in. Why? Because the mind has been running on autopilot for years. It's been creating stories, judgments, and narratives that shape how we perceive the world. But when you recognize that you are not the mind, you begin to reclaim control, and the constant stream of thoughts loses its grip on you. The patterns, the reactions, the endless loops, they've been ingrained in your mind over and over again. These thought patterns become automatic, so even when you start seeing them for what they truly are, just fleeting, often irrational thoughts, they don't just vanish, they keep coming. They keep trying to pull you back into their familiar world of anxiety, fear, and self-doubt. They continue to whisper, convincing and seducing you into believing them again. This is where most people fall back into the trap. They think, I get it now, thoughts aren't me, but then something triggers them. A bad day, an old memory resurfacing, a worry about the future, and suddenly they are once again caught up in the story their mind created. They forget what they've learned. They believe the thoughts once more, becoming consumed by emotions like frustration, sadness, or anger. They act as though they never saw through the illusion in the first place. This is the subtle and insidious nature of the mind. Even though we may recognize that our thoughts don't define us, the pull of these mental patterns is strong. It's not enough to simply see the truth once. It requires ongoing awareness. This is why waking up from the illusion isn't a one-time event. It's a practice. It's a habit of constantly remembering that you are the observer, not the thought. Most people think of self-awareness as something you achieve, a state you can reach. But real self-awareness is not an achievement, it's a habit. It's the ability to catch yourself over and over, not just once, but each time you get pulled back into your automatic reactions and emotional patterns. It's not just about being aware when things are easy or calm. It's about noticing the illusion even in the hardest moments, when your mind is clouded with stress, worry, or anger. Because when you can see the illusion in real time, when you can notice that you're caught in a cycle of reacting, you begin to live differently. You no longer let your emotions control you. You're not trapped in unnecessary suffering or stuck in a never-ending loop of automatic responses. Instead, you regain your power, your peace, and your ability to choose how you want to respond to life's challenges. Instead, you move through life with clarity, and that clarity, it changes everything. If thoughts are just patterns, if emotions are just energy moving through you, if your reactions are just conditioned habits, then what is actually real? Who is the one behind all of this? Because something is still here. Something that is watching the thoughts but isn't the thoughts. Something that is feeling emotions but isn't the emotions. Something that is experiencing life but isn't defined by any single experience. That something, that's you. Not the voice in your head, not the personality you've built, not the roles you play in the world, but the awareness that is simply here, watching. The presence behind it all. And the moment you realize this, not just as an idea, but as an actual experience, you become untouchable. Because thoughts may still come, but you don't chase them. Emotions may still rise, but you don't drown in them. Problems may still appear, but you don't lose yourself in stress. You see them for what they are, just passing clouds in the sky. And the real you are the sky itself. This realization doesn't mean that life stops happening, that problems disappear, or that emotions no longer arise. But it means you stop identifying with them. You stop thinking that your thoughts and feelings define who you are. Instead, you recognize that you are the witness, the observer, the awareness that holds everything with presence. And that awareness is limitless, unshaken, and always at peace. Once you know this, nothing can truly touch you, because you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions. You are the vast, unchanging awareness behind it all. True freedom begins not through the control of your thoughts, nor by forcing yourself into a perpetual state of positivity, nor by resisting your emotions. Rather, it begins when you step outside the entire game of life. You see, the game, this whole existence, has its rules, its pressures, its expectations, but when you realize that it's just a game, you stop taking it so seriously. This shift in perception is where real freedom lies. When you no longer view life through the lens of, I must succeed, I must control everything, or I must always feel positive, life begins to flow with ease. You begin to flow with life rather than resisting it. Instead of constantly being dragged along by every fleeting thought, every fluctuating mood, and every minor inconvenience, you find yourself observing them. You become the observer of your experience, not the prisoner. This awareness is the key. When you become deeply present, you access a space where nothing can truly shake you. Most people live their lives unaware of this truth because they've been hypnotized since the moment they were born. But not in the dramatic, mystical sense. No, it's a hypnosis created by society, culture, and the layers of conditioning that shape our worldview. From the time you were a child, you were taught who you are supposed to be, what to believe, how to think, what to fear, and what to pursue. Your identity, your name, your nationality, your beliefs about life, your ideas about success, your assumptions about happiness, all of it was given to you. You absorbed these ideas piece by piece, like a sponge, until they became the lens through which you view everything in life. The kicker is that the person you think you are, the one who reacts to situations, the one who chases after things, the one who fears things, the one who holds on to an identity that feels so real, isn't the true you. The you who is constantly seeking, grasping, resisting is just a construct. It's a version of yourself that was shaped by external influences, expectations, and past experiences. But this is not who you truly are. You are the awareness behind the reactions, the stillness beneath the surface noise. The more you step back and observe, the more you realize that the true essence of who you are is not bound by the story you've been told about yourself. The game only has power over you if you keep identifying with the role it has assigned you. That's the constructed version of you, the one shaped by experiences, culture, education, and social expectations. It's the mask you wear without even realizing it. And the real you? It's the one watching it all happen. The one that has been there before the labels, before the fears, before the opinions of others. But because you've been so conditioned to identify with this constructed self, you mistake it for reality. This is why most people suffer. They don't see reality as it is. They see reality through a filtered version of it, distorted by their beliefs, fears, and assumptions. When something happens, instead of experiencing it as it is, they experience it through a story they attach to it. They meet someone new, and instead of seeing the person as they are, they judge them based on their past experiences. They face a challenge, and instead of tackling it head-on, they label it as too hard, too unfair, too much. See the problem? It's never about what's actually happening, it's about how the mind frames it. And because they never question it, they remain trapped in the story. This framing locks people in a prison of their own making, where they are constantly controlled by forces they don't even realize are not truly their own. The real question isn't, who am I? It's, what am I seeing life through? The reason this question is so crucial is that everything you experience, your thoughts, emotions, your sense of self, isn't the truth. They are simply interpretations of the truth, like a movie being projected onto a screen. You can get completely absorbed in the movie, emotionally attached to the characters, feel fear, joy, anger, sadness, but the screen itself remains unchanged, untouched. And you are not the movie. You are the screen. This distinction is profound because it reveals the underlying truth about your own existence. Your thoughts and emotions are not who you are. They are not the essence of your being. They are temporary reactions, patterns built by years of conditioning. But as long as you identify with them, you remain trapped in that narrative. You believe the fear is real, the doubt is real, and the thoughts running in your head are indisputable truths. This is where most people get stuck. They start to believe that what their minds are telling them is an unchangeable reality, and in doing so, they become prisoners to it. But here's the deeper realization. All those thoughts, feelings, and narratives are just noise. They are conditioned responses, automatic programs playing in your mind. When you stop believing in them, when you stop reacting to every thought or emotion as if it's the absolute truth, you begin to see clearly. You stop being dragged by emotional turbulence. You stop overthinking. You stop being enslaved to the endless chatter in your head. What's even more powerful is that once you realize you are the screen, not the movie, you no longer have to be caught up in every plot twist or emotional reaction. You become the observer of your thoughts and emotions, rather than being defined by them. You reclaim your freedom because you are no longer controlled by the stories your mind wants to tell you. This is when life starts to unfold with clarity and peace. Instead, you just see it like background music in a cafe. It's there, but it doesn't control you. This is what true inner peace looks like. Not controlling thoughts, not fighting emotions, not forcing positivity, but stepping back so deeply that you no longer need to. Because once you step outside the storm, you realize you were never the storm to begin with. And suddenly there's space. Space between you and your thoughts. Space between you and your emotions. Space between you and everything happening in your mind. And in that space, freedom. The freedom to move through life with clarity. The freedom to feel without drowning. The freedom to think without spiraling. The freedom to exist without being consumed. When you live from that space of deep presence, nothing can shake you anymore. You become anchored in stillness, and the turbulence of life no longer has the power to disturb your peace. But let's explore this even further. What happens when you move beyond your thoughts, beyond your emotions, beyond the self? What if you stop attaching to anything, whether it's good or bad? What would that look like? You stop seeking. The endless pursuit of something outside yourself for fulfillment comes to a halt. You stop chasing after validation, success, or approval from others. You stop trying to fix yourself because you realize you are not broken. There's nothing to fix. You stop looking for happiness in the future because you recognize that happiness is not something that will come when conditions are right, but something that already exists within you. You stop running towards an imaginary better version of yourself because you see that you are already complete in this moment. You begin to truly live without constantly chasing, controlling, or grasping for something that feels just out of reach. You stop being enslaved by the idea that you need to change, improve, or become someone else in order to be happy. Instead, you start living with a sense of inner freedom, moving through life with ease and authenticity. The external world may continue to change, but within you there is a steady calmness. You are not defined by what happens to you. You no longer need to react because you are simply present, experiencing life as it is, free from attachment and expectation. This is where true freedom lies, when you stop chasing and start living from the truth of who you are. At this point, there's a question I'd like to dig deeper into. Is everything you believe about yourself the whole truth? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you learned something from this video, please like, subscribe to the Top Hidden Knowledge channel for more content on wisdom, spirituality, and personal growth. Or if you have time, check out other videos on this channel. Until next time.